Today I looked at Ezekiel chapter 29, and this time the Lord wants the prophet Ezekiel to prophesy against Egypt. Why, you may ask? Well, the main thing seems to be a recurring theme. Ultimately, the nation of Egypt was also puffed up with pride. And not only that, but they had come against God's people more than once. God says, I will make the land of Egypt of utter waste and desolation. He also said that the Egyptians were claiming that they made the Nile, and that King Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, the nation which captured Israel, was also going to capture the nation of Egypt. The Lord says, because they worked for me. So I see three main themes in this chapter, and two of them seem to be recurring. The two recurring things are, one, God hates pride. When you give yourself credit for something that God has done, which is anything good in your life, because without God we couldn't even exist, God does not take that lightly. If you're a self-made millionaire and entrepreneur and you ain't giving God the glory, you gonna see how much you had control over building that revenue when everything just up and leaves and you can't control that. It is not wise to take God's credit. So give him all the glory for all things. The second recurring theme is leave God's people alone. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is John chapter 19, verse 11. When Jesus tells Pontius Pilate, you would have no power over me unless it was given you from above, which means God let you have this power. So any power you feel you have over God's people, be mindful. God let you have that power. And the Egyptians were soon going to see just how much power they had versus how much power God has. But the third theme that isn't quite recurring, but it shows up in this chapter, we can see it when we see God giving the land of Egypt to Nebuchadnezzar. If you look at the story of Babylon and Nebuchadnezzar, you could say that man was an evil king. But in this particular time frame, he was doing what God wanted him to do. So a very interesting thing we need to observe is God rewards people for doing his will. King Nebuchadnezzar, no matter how evil we might have seen him or the Israelites saw him, was busy doing the will of God, and God rewarded him for it. So if you call yourself righteous but you're not doing God's will, how dare you look at somebody else who you deem unrighteous and feel jealous of them? God shows us time and time again it's not about what we claim, it's about our fruits. I can say I'm a Christian or I believe in Jesus all day long, but if my fruit doesn't show that, who am I trying to kid? Israel was supposed to be God's chosen people, but their fruits did not show that they were following the will of God. However, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, his fruits showed he was following the will of God. So let your actions speak, and don't become a slave to empty promises and say things out your mouth that you don't mean, because God rewards those who are in his will. But as always, I'm going to remind you to go back and read Ezekiel chapter 29 for yourself. I barely even touched the surface of what that chapter is saying. You need to go back and read it for yourself. I love you. Have a wonderful day.